Welcome back to The Green Book by Muammar al-Qaddafi. I'm your host, John, and today we are opening the first few pages of this controversial little book. Now, usually when we talk about democracy, we think of voting booths, parliaments, and political parties. We think of majority rule. To us, that is freedom. But in The Green Book, Muammar Gaddafi looks at all of that and says, no, that is not democracy. That is a dictatorship in disguise. Today, we are going to explore why he thought that. We aren't looking at his solution yet. That's for the next episode. Today, we are just looking at his critique. And I warn you, even if you disagree with him, his logic is fascinatingly sharp. Let's start with his core premise, the instrument of government. Gaddafi argues that the biggest problem in human history is the instrument of government. Basically, who rules whom? He says that throughout history, whether it's a king, a dictator, or a parliament, the result is always the same. A group of people winning a struggle for power and then forcing their will on everyone else. He calls this the defeat of the people. Even in our modern democracies, he argues, the people aren't actually ruling. They are just watching a struggle between parties or classes, and whoever wins gets to dominate the loser. Now you might say, but wait, we vote. The majority wins. That's fair. Well, Gaddafi disagrees. He presents what I call the 51% paradox. Imagine a country where 51% of the people vote for the blue party and 49% vote for the red party. The blue party wins. They form the government. But what about the 49%? Gaddafi writes, political struggle that results in the victory of a candidate with, for example, 51% of the votes leads to a dictatorial governing body. Since 49% of the electorate is ruled by an instrument of government they did not vote for, but which has been imposed upon them. Think about that. If nearly half the country is being ruled by a system they hate and didn't choose, is that democracy? Or is it just a false democracy, where the majority acts as a dictator over the minority? Gaddafi says true democracy means the people rule themselves, not just 51% of them ruling the rest. This leads us to his most famous slogan, representation is a falsification. He attacks the very idea of parliament. He argues that a parliament is originally founded to represent the people, but the moment you elect a representative, you are effectively saying, I don't need to speak anymore, you speak for me. He writes, the mere existence of a parliament means the absence of the people. It's a philosophical hardline. He believes that sovereignty, the right to rule, belongs to you. It's yours. And you cannot give it away to a representative any more than you can give away your own life. When you mark a ballot paper, you are handing your sovereignty to a politician. You are standing in long queues to cast a ballot just like you throw waste paper into dustbins. Once elected, that MP represents the party or their own interests, not you. They become a legal barrier between the people and power. So, in his view, Parliament isn't a voice for the people. It's a way to shut the people up. Finally, he attacks the one tool we think is purely democratic, the referendum. You know, where you vote yes or no on a big issue. Gaddafi calls this a fraud against democracy. Why? Because life isn't black and white. He says that those who vote yes and those who vote no might have completely different reasons, but they are silenced. They aren't allowed to explain why. They are just forced to choose one of two options set by the rulers. He argues that this is oppressive. And quite often, the rulers tweak the question to deliver the result they desire. So let's summarize the critique in episode 1. According to Gaddafi's Green Book, parliaments steal your voice by pretending to speak for you. Parties are just tribes trying to force their minority view on everyone. Majority rule, the 51%, is actually a dictatorship over the minority, the 49%. Referendums gag the people by forcing complex issues into a yes-no choice. It's a scorching takedown of the liberal democratic Western system. He argues that we have been fooled into thinking we are free, when really, we are just choosing our dictators every 4 years. But this leaves a massive, gaping question. If you get rid of Parliament, get rid of parties, and get rid of politicians, who is left to run the country? If 51% constitutes a dictatorship, how do you ever make a decision? Gaddafi says the answer is the people. All of them. But how? How do millions of people rule themselves without chaos? That is the topic of episode 2. No government, but the people. You won't want to miss it.